Hello everyone, my name is Jasmine and today I will be presenting a brief air quality report for the city of Fort Worth, Texas. The City of Fort Worth's Air Quality Section operates under the Divisional Environmental Master Plan as well as in cooperation with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, or TCEQ, to help reduce air pollutant emissions within Fort Worth. The TCEQ is responsible for generating the State Implementation Plan for Texas. Here you can see downtown Fort Worth on a beautiful, clear day with the Trinity River running straight through. The Divisional Environmental Master Plan is a unified approach to improving all aspects of the city, including improving mobility and air quality. Here I have the mission statement for the plan, which highlights the value of environmental programs and environmental quality. The TCEQ is the state's environmental enforcement agency. Environmental investigations are performed in conjunction with the TCEQ's State Implementation Plan, which requires the inspection of air emission sources across the commercial and industrial spectrum. These include used car lots, petroleum storage tanks, auto body and paint shops, combustion units, construction sites, and more. The leading pollutants of concern in Fort Worth and the DFW region are ozone, nitrogen oxides, particulate matter 2.5, and carbon monoxide. This chart provided by the Fort Worth Air Quality Team shows the trend over the past 5 years of each of these pollutants. As you can see, carbon monoxide is shown in parts per million due to the large amount of emissions compared to parts per billion. The parts per billion of carbon monoxide would not feasibly fit on the same chart with the other pollutants. This chart, again provided by the Fort Worth Air Quality Team, shows the same pollutants over the same amount of time, just in numerical form. And as a reminder, 1 parts per million is equal to 1,000 parts per billion. Here you can really see the comparison in numbers of the pollutants as well as the large amounts of carbon monoxide that are emitted. In 2021, there were 300 parts per billion of carbon monoxide released. Each of these in varied amounts are released from both the operation of motor vehicles and as emissions byproducts of commercial and industrial businesses. Within the Fort Worth region, ozone is the greatest offender, with nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds being the greatest contributors as precursors for O3. Here I have listed the largest contributors by pollutant as of 2020. The Fort Worth Village Creek Wastewater Facility was the largest offender of carbon monoxide, releasing 158.134 tons per year of carbon monoxide. The Ball Metal Beverage Corporation released 58.77 tons per year of volatile organic compounds in 2020 alone. The largest contributor of both nitrogen oxides and particulate matter 2.5 is the Exgen Handley Power LLC, which is a steam electric station. The Handley Generating Station is a 3-unit, 1,265 megawatt natural gas-fueled electric generation facility located in Fort Worth. In 2020, Exgen Handley released 86.812 tons per year of nitrogen oxides and 27.6371 tons per year of particulate matter 2.5. The generating station is marked by the red location pin here on Google Maps. This station is in more of an industrial area, which is very close to Interstate 820 on the left, a major roadway in Fort Worth. Off to the right, you would find a few neighborhoods that eventually lead out into more established neighborhoods, churches, and schools. In order to successfully manage local air quality in Fort Worth, the weather must be taken into account. Fort Worth generally sees hot, humid, and sunny days with high levels of UV. As we know, nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds bombarded with the sun's UV rays help to create ozone. Emissions from industrial facilities and electric utilities, motor vehicle exhaust, gasoline vapors, and chemical solvents are just some of the major sources of oxides of nitrogen and volatile organic compounds. Here I have the average UV and temperatures for each month in Fort Worth. As you can see, during the summer months, Fort Worth not only experiences high temperatures, but high UV as well. These conditions provide the perfect combination for ozone formation. In addition, Fort Worth also has a high number of sunny days per year along with long sunshine hours per day. This means that there are more sun hours available to contribute to ozone formation. Local regulations for air pollutants are controlled by the state agency TCEQ. This entity follows EPA guidelines in setting standards for emissions to protect public health and the environment. In addition to generating the state implementation plan, one program under the TCEQ is the Texas Emissions Reduction Plan, or TERP, which offers grants to replace older heavy-duty vehicles, buses, and other industrial equipment to newer, cleaner models. The TCEQ Air Monitoring Network is designed to measure pollutant concentrations for assessing regional air quality representative of areas frequented by the public. Data from ambient monitoring is used to determine compliance with the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, to evaluate pollutant trends, to perform air quality and human health impact studies, and to inform regulatory decisions. In general, the TCEQ solely handles all regulations for air quality. The only exception to this is the locally enforced motor vehicle idling limitations rule. Through a memorandum of understanding with the TCEQ, many municipalities, including Fort Worth, have opted to locally enforce anti-idling policies based on the state regulation. As you can see from the no idling warning sign, the limit on idling is 5 minutes, and for buses, the maximum is 30. Federal regulations for these air pollutants include the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, New Source Performance Standards, and hazardous air pollutants under the Clean Air Act. At this time, the DFW region is in non-attainment with the EPA's National Ambient Air Quality Standards. That being said, there should be more regulation at the local level to solve this, since currently there are basically only federal regulations in place. The state, and more importantly the city, could step up here to enforce standards that are more stringent than those that are set forth by the EPA to reduce emissions in Fort Worth. Here I have a graph provided by the Fort Worth Air Quality section that shows the population versus pollutants in Fort Worth. The city has a population of 938,055 as of 2021. While it is easy to blame industries for air pollution, the population in Fort Worth relies heavily on vehicles for individual transport. As the population increases, so will more mobile sources of emissions. For the main pollutants in Fort Worth, The target organs are the lungs for nitrogen oxides, particulate matter 2.5, and ozone. The blood or the circulatory system is targeted by carbon monoxide, and the liver, kidneys, and the central nervous system are targeted by volatile organic compounds. These can have an adverse effect on individuals who may have pre-existing health concerns like asthma, lung disease, or other respiratory issues. Using the EPA's EJ screen, I was able to find that the region within a 1-mile radius of the ExGen Handley generating station has a higher than the state percentile for demographic index, people of color, unemployment rate, and people with less than a high school education. As for environmental justice indicators, the region shows a higher than the state population percentile for exposure to particulate matter 2.5, ozone, and traffic proximity. This means that within a 1-mile radius of the Handley generating station, people are being exposed to higher levels of pollutants than those in the state of Texas in some areas. If you remember back to the Google Maps photo, the station was located very close to a major interstate, which explains the traffic proximity. The region also has a high percentile of pollution and sources of particulate matter, ozone, and a larger than the USA percentile of proximity to hazardous waste. As mentioned before, the DFW region is in non-attainment with the EPA's National Ambient Air Quality Standards. With that being said, I looked into the best control strategies for the two major pollutants coming from ExGen Handley power. Selective catalytic reduction can be used to reduce nitrogen oxides by using a catalyst bed and ammonia. Ammonia taken from a storage tank is vaporized and diluted with air or steam to produce gaseous ammonia. It is then injected upstream of the catalyst and mixed with flue gas, which will then enter a catalyst reactor and is distributed throughout the catalyst bed. The catalyst enhances the reaction of ammonia with nitrogen oxides. When the proper conditions are obtained, a reaction sequence takes place and nitrogen oxides are reduced to molecular nitrogen and water, thereby reducing emissions. Fabric filters can be used to reduce particulate matter from the facility as well. A fabric filter, sometimes referred to as a baghouse, utilizes fabric filtration to remove particles from the contaminated gas stream by depositing the particles on fabric material. The filter is usually in the form of cylindrical fabric bags, but it may be in the form of cartridges that are constructed of fabric, metal, or porous ceramic. According to the EPA, in general, fabric filters are capable of collection efficiencies greater than 99%. As for the other major pollutants in Fort Worth, management operations and process optimizations can be used to reduce volatile organic compounds, and combustion modifications can be made to reduce carbon monoxide. All of these combined efforts can reduce ozone formation. At this time, I would like to thank the Fort Worth Air Quality team for their assistance in providing information, as well as the 5-year pollutant data and population versus pollution graphs in my presentation. I would also like to thank everyone for watching, and here are my references.